Hello, beautiful people on the internet. It's me, Gratified What Ifs, and I'm back to tell you what if Deku had Luke Cage's powers part 4. But before we jump into the video, I want you guys to do me a favor. Hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button. And also hit the bell so that you'll be notified about my rest of my videos. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the what if. The last we left off, All Might was about to give Bakugo his quirk, one for all. And then after a lot of dismaying and then a lot of screaming and explosions being let from Bakugo saying that this is ridiculous, All Might eventually managed to convince Bakugo to take one for all. After ingesting the hair, Bakugo is like, so what do I do now? It takes about 1 hour, so we wait. And then Izuku, who was there with them the whole time, is like, oh my god, I can't believe you had to eat his head. This is unbelievable. And then Bakugo is like, shut up, otherwise you want me to pound you into the floor? And then Deku with a serious face just says, try it. And then Bakugo is like, oh, it's on. And then All Might stops them because, whoa, young heroes. Remember, you just had a fight right now. Before we jump into anything else, let's at least wait for one fall to resonate with Bakugo's body so that he'll be able to use it. And then both of them just look at each other and then they were like, fine. And then they begin to wait. And he was like, All Might was like, okay, it's time. And then Bakugo is like, so what do I do? Well, All Might just starts to contemplate it and then gives him the advice that he gave to Deku. Clenches butt cheeks and all that, and then Izuku is really just left a little chuckle. And then Bakugo just looks at him pissed and he's like, fine, so where do I do it? And then All Might just looks at the ocean and then just said, do it there. And then Bakugo starts to charge up his hand with one for all. And then he cuts it back and then punches it, sending a wind pressure that just starts to disturb the flow of the ocean. And then Deku is all like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then Bakugo begins to scream and curse, screaming and cursing. And then Bakugo is like, what the hell happened to my arm? And then Deku is all like, holy shit, what the hell? And then his All Might was like, I don't know what happened. Was this supposed to happen? And then All Might was like, you knew that this might happen and you still made me do it. And then All Might was like, whoa, I just thought that it wouldn't be a problem for you because for me, I never really had much problem dealing with one fall. And then Bakugo was like, so let me get this straight. You knew that I might break my arm from this, but you decided to take the chance. And then Izuku is like, okay, well, enough of this right now. We gotta take him to a hospital. And then All Might is like, agreed. And then they take him to a hospital where they managed to recover his arm because they managed to call recovery girl. She was able to heal his arm, and then they just look at All Might and they was like, so you gave it to him, huh? And he's like, yes. It's like, oh man, my arm. How am I supposed to use it if I just damage myself? It feels worse than when I use big explosions. And Deku is all like, well, until you manage to use it properly, I don't think you should use it for anything else. Just continue using your explosion until we know how to use one for all properly. And, well, in times of great danger, maybe you should, use it. And then Deku is, and then I said Deku. And then Bakugo is like, well, don't you have any advice for me? And then Deku just puts his hand on him, saying, yo, I don't know how to help with this. I don't have a off and on switch for my super strength or invulnerability. And then Bakugo is like, whoa, shit. And then we cut off to school as they are just doing all the school stuff until All Might appears through the door saying, I am here, walking through the door like a hero. And then everyone starts screaming. They're like, holy shit, it's All Might. So it is true. He is a teacher here at UA. This year is going to be lit. And then All Might decides to take them and then starts to tell them about the heroes and versus villains test. And then they decide that before you go out, you should dress like a hero because after all, you are trained to be heroes, so you might as well look the part. And then everyone just leaves and then comes back in their costume without any Mineta comments because Mineta is gone. And then Oma is like, look at you, heroes in training. And then they start to ask, so how are we going to do these heroes versus villains? All Might begins to explain the rules, and then he decides to pair up the teams. And before anything else, this is how Deku's costume is going to look like. So yeah, that's how it's going to be. And the glasses on Cage's face here, it's actually more of a tactical visor because his entire skin is invulnerable, but like I said, only his skin, so nothing else. So he has to cover his eyes. So those things are tactical visors made sure so that nothing like bullets could be able to pierce it. And it can't really come out because it's not really glasses, it's more like goggles. You understand, like Doc Ock, except without that stringy stuff. You know what I mean. It looks like this, but just as goggles so that it doesn't come off. Anyway, so the teams are going to be different. Instead of Tenya, Ida, and Bakugo versus Izuku Midoriya and Uraraka, it's going to be Izuku Midoriya and Bakugo versus Tenya, Ida, and Shoto Todoroki. Shoto Todoroki and Tenya Ida will be the villains, while Izuku Midoriya and Bakugo and Kacha and Bakugo are the heroes. And then Bakugo and Deku just look at each other and is like, well, this is gonna be fun. I couldn't say it better myself. And then Ida just starts to walk in with Shoto Todoroki saying that we have a plan on how to stop them. They are pretty much powerhouses. And Todoroki just looks at him saying, leave it all to me. And since Shoto Todoroki is on Team Ida, he's going to be on the team with Ida, and Uraraka is not there at all, Uraraka replaces Shoto Todoroki as a teammate to Shoji against Ojiro and Hakaguri. Anyway, let's jump into the heroes versus villains. And as we continue, Bakugo and Deku start contemplating on a plan on who fight first. And then Bakugo is like, I want to handle Todoroki. He seems fun to me. Besides, there's something about him that just sets me off. I don't know what his quirk is yet exactly. I never really paid much attention to him in the entrance exam. I was like, of course you didn't. I heard him saying it's over there that it's half hot, half cold, so he might have some kind of fire and ice quirk. It's like, fire and ice, I think it's better if I try and take him. And Deku was like, you're right. I'll try and take Ida. He may be fast, but I could use Thunderclap to slow him down. Plus, his kicks won't be able to affect me either. He's like, you cool? Yeah, we're cool. And then they begin to walk inside. And then Deku is just looking at him saying, you sure you know the plan? And then Bakugo just looks at him pissed. Of course I know the plan. We just discussed it for over 10 minutes. Over and over again. What do you take me for? And then Deku is like, just checking because sometimes you like to do some crazy. And then they begin to stop because they just begin to notice that all of the buildings start to freeze up. It's like, I never knew that his power was this much. And then Bakugo is like, yeah, kind of makes us wonder. And then they begin to do back to back. And then from the sideways, Bakugo puts both of his hands at each corner as the ice is beginning to touch them, and then blast it off so that the ice doesn't come anywhere close to them. Because Bakugo has been training a lot with Deku, so he has been able to explore how far his explosions can go and minimize them so that they can only touch a certain area. So he was able to blast all the ice off without damaging the walls, so that they won't be able to lose any points. Everyone from the common room just begins to look at Bakugo and is like, wow, I never knew that he had such control over his quirk. And then, yeah, me too. But what about Izuku Midoriya? Yeah, his powers set me off a bit. I don't know why. Something about those two just doesn't feel right. And then All Might just looks at those two kids, smiling. Man, what they did at that beach was just amazing. Young Bakugo, I'm so glad I got to choose you as the ninth successor. And Izuku Midoriya, I'm so glad I got to meet you that day. And then they begin to walk off. Then we switch back to Tenya, Ida, and Shiro Todoroki. Todoroki just puts off his arm saying that must have stopped them. And then Tenya Ida is like, I'm not sure. But All Might hasn't really mentioned that they've, been captured. It's like, I guess they're tougher than I thought. I'll go downstairs to try and take them out. You take care of the bomb. It's like, yes, sir. And then he begins to practice his evil act, which Todoroki completely ignores. And then Uraka laughs in the background because she hasn't gone out yet. Anyway, Shiro Todoroki puts his hand on a wall again, defrosting all the ice. And then Deku, he doesn't really feel a thing. He doesn't really feel the hotness. But then Bakugo is just like, damn it. And then they just start to see, and as they're walking past the corridor, they see that the corridor suddenly just froze again. And then it just breaks with Todoroki coming out. It's like, so, which one of you heroes want to die now? And then both of them just looks at him saying, really, dude? And then he just steps on the ground and the ice just starts to come up, separating the two. And then he goes after Izuku, who just goes into the stance. But before anything happens, Bakugo just uses an explosion, breaking the ice wall, and then grabbing onto Todoroki's face, planting him into the floor. And then he tells Deku, go, I got this. And then Deku begins to run upstairs. He's like, you shouldn't really be overestimating yourself like that. And as he says this, ice just starts to form of was it? You know that his first season suit was kind of stupid because he was blocking off his eyesight, his hot side. Yeah, so ice pretty much came off over that because he reinforced it so that Bakugo could get off him. And it's like, well, you don't know the full extent of my abilities. And then they begin to brawl. Todoroki tries using his ice on him over and over again, but then Bakugo just keeps on blowing it up more and more and more. And he's like, I heard that your quirk is called half hot, half cold. Why aren't you using your hot side? And then I said, anyway, and then Todoroki says, I don't need my flame quirk to beat you. He's like, well, you're gonna regret that. And then those two seem to be almost in a complete stalemate. And then we cut back to Izuku, who just manages to head to the top floor. And as he heads back, he stops at the door and then plants his ear. And he's hearing Tenya Ida practicing his villain voice, which just shakes his head thinking, God almighty, that don't work. And then he busts through the door saying, Ida, just give me the bomb and I promise I won't fuck you up. And then Ida is like, ha ha ha, so you were able to discover my room. No matter, I'll just keep this bomb away from you until you lose. Farewell, hero. And then Izuku is like, I ain't having any of that shit. And then he punches the ground, causing it to split until Ida trips on the crack. And then before he manages to get up, Deku is already starting to run towards the bomb. But he starts to push himself and then gets in front of Deku, kicking him in the face, which does kinda sprain Ida's leg. And he's like, dude, you can't touch me. And then Ida is like, what the hell? I thought your quirk was only super strength. And he was like, well, that's not the only thing my quirk can do. And as he does this, he's walking towards the bomb because Ida can't really get back the fuck up because he sprained his ankle. And then he's like, I have invulnerable skin as well. And this kind of sets Ida back because, wait, I've heard about you. And then Izuku plants his hand on the bomb, and then All Might is like, hero team wins. And as they're heading back, everyone's fight also goes the same, but before that, everyone starts to comment about Izuku and Bakugo's fight, And then Oma is like, class, can you tell me who the MVP was? And then Yayeruzu just pipes up, saying that it was Izuku Midoriya, sir. And then Bakugo is like, hey, I hope too. And then yes, as a distraction, which did help Izuku because he knew how his quirk works and he didn't share with everybody. Nobody really knew that he had unbreakable skin, Izuku. Yeah, well, I like to keep my secrets, you know? He's like, yes, and we've also heard about you. You're what the media used to call the survivor, right? And then everyone just starts to look at him a little bit differently because, well, some of them, because they didn't really put two and two together. But some of them, yeah, they were suspecting. I was like, Izuku just starts to look at them with a Macalonian face saying, yeah. And then, yeah, well, as the survivor, you know that you had unbreakable skin. So you knew that you'll be the perfect shot for Ida. Even though despite his strength, you were able to use your powers so that you'll be able to stop Ida dead in his tracks. First with that small earthquake so that he'll trip, and then the second so that when he tries to attack you, your body will just harden. It's like, oh, well, my body is just hardened naturally, I can't really turn it off. And then everyone just starts to look at him again, kind of a bit scared of him because of what happened to him. And then Yaoyorozu continues. And then knowing this, you're able to safely grab the bomb so that nothing bad will happen without damaging the entire building. And then All Might just looks at him saying, well, congratulations. And then everybody else continue on with your fights. And then they do continue on with their fights. And everything is the same. Except for the Uraraka Soji and Ojiro. Actually, no, wait, everything is the same. Who am I kidding? Bro, who am I kidding? Shoji basically has super strength and his ears and eyes will make sure that Hakaguri doesn't even try shit, even though she goes full commando. So there's actually pretty much nothing wrong. Except that she's actually that he's not the one that deals with her. Uraraka deals with Hakaguri. Only Shoji just tells him where she's going to be because, well, she went commando. And we all know what happened when Snipe accidentally did that thing by accident. So I'm just going to avoid that. Anyway, everything went by pretty much the same. And then they just went back to class. And then they all just start to look at Deku a little bit wary of him now. And then Deku just starts to put his head low and then just looks at Bakugo saying that let's just head home now. But before they go, they get joined up by Akaguri. And then Akaguri asks Izuku saying, can I ask you something? And then Izuku just looks at him saying that if you wanna ask me about how it was there. And then Akaguri is like, no, it's not that. It's just I wanted to ask you, 2 years ago, was it you that stopped those thugs? 2 years ago? Wait a minute. That was you? It's like, yes. I don't think we've been formally introduced. My name is Hakaguri. And then Izuku just looks at her saying Midoriya. And then, well, she does put up her hand, but it's invisible. And then Deku's like, what are you trying to do? I was like, well, I'm trying to shake you. Like, oh, right, sorry. Then Bakugo is like, God, what is even going on? Can someone just explain to me why the hell this girl is talking to you? Please, Izuku is like, remember that time 2 years ago when I was coming back from the gym and I left my watch? Yeah, you said that you came back nothing, no harm, no foul. Well, that wasn't exactly the truth. I actually helped her. It's like, of course it wasn't the truth. And then it's like, and Akaguri just looks at him saying, so like, can we hang out? He's like, well, if you're okay with living with the survivor, I have no qualms with it. And then Hakaguri is like, cool. And then they begin to walk off. And this is where I'm gonna end it off, guys. I hope that you enjoyed my video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and tap the bell for notifications. Anyway, next time that you guys are going to come here in part 5, it's going to be the USJ. And some things will definitely gonna be different. Like, for example, someone might be dead. Anyway, see y'all next time.